Hey everybody. Okay, so I have this idea. I want to be able to take you guys with me to DC to go on a museum tour. So if you like that idea, please stick around and watch this particular video because that's my intention. All right, so this should be fun. All right, so I'm at one of my rest stops, a much needed rest stop, and I'm much better now, thank you. But I'm about 2.5 hours outside of DC, and so we'll be there before you know it. I'm gonna take you around with me to see what COVID has done with the museum tours. And so this is museums in the time of COVID, and you know what, we're not gonna let it dampen our spirits, so let's just go ahead and see what we can find. Okay, it's tough walking distances with masks on, but of course it's required in this time of COVID. Let's go check out some museums. What do you say? Okay, so with everything being in the time of COVID, hi, how are you? I'm gonna videotape, is that okay? Okay, in the time of COVID, we're gonna get our temperature taken. There's all this that has to happen, and this is how it works. So here we are at the Museum of the Portrait Gallery. So let's see what happens. Got my e-ticket ready to roll. Thank you.
You have Time Pass, right?
Yes, I do. Okay, I made it. I get to look at some beautiful artwork. Right now we're in the Museum of Contemporary Art. And we're just taking a look. Obviously the crowds are down considerably. They've got everything timed. So I'm here at 11:30. I'd like to take a look. I get to meet the artist. And there's like scanning possibilities. So that's pretty cool. It's crazy, but it's been a year since I've been to the museum here, and I generally like to go a couple times a year. But COVID's kind of put a damper on a lot of this for a lot of folks. That's a beautiful piece, and of course I always like to go check out who it is. So of course it's Calder. And that's gorgeous. And I can almost bet I know who this is too. Should I call it? I bet it's Helen Frankenthaler or Paul Klee. Let's see what this is. I love those colors. Of course, taking advantage of complementary color combos. She's a master. obviously I'm not the only one who walks around taking pictures of these signboards. This just represents, it looks like media, and probably our dependency on it. It's crazy to see it this quiet. This museum just opened up today. So many of the museums have been closed for so long, and I timed this perfectly. Well, it was by no mistake. I waited till they opened up. Of course, I've seen her work in lots of places. Come on, turn on. This is Deborah Butterfield's work. Her work, you know, I love that she loves horses, because I love horses. And it looks like it's made from driftwood, but it's really not. It's all cast. And I've been lucky enough to see her work in lots of different museums. It's gorgeous. Deborah Butterfield. It's crazy. I've not seen it this quiet any time I've been to a museum. Like I said, it just opened up today. So I feel really special getting to be here. But yeah, this is the work of Brian Hunt. And you just can see so much stuff here. Now I'm gonna guess, I'll see. This piece right here, I'm wondering if it's a Noguchi, we'll see. And I was right. It's Sama Noguchi. Gorgeous, right? It's gorgeous in its simplicity. It's amazing. I love it. I've gotten to see some of his work in Seattle. It was one of the pieces that you looked through the circle and you could see the needle in Seattle. It was pretty cool. Okay, trying to see past the glare, but you can guess who this artist is just by looking at it. I mean, you don't even have to know. This is a John Singer Sargent of Henry Cabot Lodge. I come down to his hands here. I mean, come on. Exquisite, right? You gotta see this stuff, because you look. There's not a lot of detail, just good color choices and high contrast, but you know, done expert. It's just, you can't, I don't get tired of looking at this, folks. I wish that I can see past the glare. Let's see if I can get even closer. Like, wow. Everett Raymond Kinsler's piece of Katharine Hepburn. I was very fortunate to get to meet Mr. Kinsler. You know, he was a consummate, educator right to the end. His enthusiasm for learning and teaching and for his craft, right up until his end in July of 2019. He was an amazing guy and an amazing artist. Oh, this is a gorgeous piece. Wow. I've never seen this one. And I have been here a lot and I have never seen this piece. Let's see who this artist is. I'm not certain. Okay, I'm not familiar with this artist, but it makes me want to learn more. Victor Edelstein, Judith Martin in Venice. This is absolutely stunning. And interesting, you can really see the impasto work that he did in her hair. Hopefully you can see it. See the texture? But he kept it smooth in the face. I don't know. That's a pretty piece. This piece is always amazing. It glows. And look at this. And she's just on fire. It is so pretty. You have to see this in person. It's called Recital by Nelson Shanks. Phenomenal. Another one of Raymond Kinsler's pieces. This is Norman Mineta. Did this one in 2009. One of Kehinde Wiley's pieces. You have to also look at this in person because it's big. It's a big piece. It's probably 7 feet tall. I'll find out. I'll get a close-up here of it. But this is an amazing work. See, it's LL Cool J. See if they have the size of the piece, but I don't see, it's not on here. But really, look at the background, the colors. Very cool. He also did President Obama's portrait. Homboldt exhibition. Homboldt, this is his portrait done by artist Rafael Salas, was a naturalist, and he depicted all the botanicals and so much of the natural world. So yeah, let's take a look. Somehow a Mastodon got in there. A lot of the work is by Frederick Church. He did a lot of work depicting the Andes. And you figure since this was done in like 1858, a lot of this was unknown to most people here in the United States. Horseshoe Falls. Gorgeous, right? During his travels, Homboldt always sought out local guides, respecting indigenous peoples and understanding of nature as being far superior to that of their colonial rulers. These are his sketches, his field sketches. Homboldt had climbed Mount Chimborazo in 1802, which at the time was considered the highest mountain in the world. He did so, dressed in 18th century clothes, and had access to supplemental oxygen. In Humboldt's words, we see Chimborazo, the peak of the geological pillars, it attaches itself and have to get off these pieces to really appreciate them. Gorgeous. Now, Chimborazo, Ecuador. It looks like different degrees of completedness on some of these pieces. It's interesting to see how sometimes pieces are not completed necessarily. I'd say a lot of artists can relate to that, probably have a closet full of uncompleted pieces, right? This is an interesting piece. It's pretty large, and it's Niagara Falls. But look, up in the, he's even captured the rainbow that the mist causes. See that? Church is brilliant. It's gorgeous. Sorry. Now this is something I'm a little familiar with, since this is the Natural Bridge in Virginia. And I'm from Tennessee, so I've always heard of this place. And this is a painting that Frederick Church did in 1852 of the Natural Bridge. But the light in this painting is absolutely gorgeous. Let me see if I can show you better. Idea of the scale. You see the people down below. Natural Bridge. And for some reason there is a skeleton of a mastodon in here. Of course, that interests me anyway. But look at that. Gotta love museums. So here's Peale's drawings of the mastodon. I can't get in closer because I'm going to set something off yet again. I'm always setting stuff off. It says I can't use flash. Okay, so this is a painting by Peale showing the exhumation of the first mastodon in the United States. So this is the process that the people went through to get the fossilized skeleton out of the water, out of the ground. Interesting, right? So here you see what they're looking for, and I imagine that's Peale right there. Interesting. Now I understand why the mastodon's in the middle of this exhibit. Okay, I get it now. So this is Charles Peale and his museum, the artist in his museum. So this is interesting because he's a naturalist as well as an artist, so I can totally relate. There's his palette, some of his mastodon bones, a dead turkey, a whole collection of different skins and models, taxidermy. I totally get this.
Slept only 4 hours a night. She consumed large quantities of coffee, which she called habit of squawking in German. New coffee, new sugar. Over the course of his lifetime, he learned at least 8 languages, wrote over 25,000 letters. In this country, he inspired generations of explorers, scientists, and artists, and influenced the founding of the Smithsonian. Today, you will find more than 300 places, species, and natural features named after Alexander von Humboldt, including a spot on the moon. And not one, but 2 asteroids. Humboldt is, quite literally, out of this world.
course, I've heard of the Homboldt penguin.
Introducing Alexander von Humboldt, narrated by me, Kehinde.
It's a self-portrait. Peel, of course. I guess discovered the first Mastodon in the United States. Put it all together. This is a portrait of Homboldt done by Everett Raymond Kinsler. We have some of Rodin's little miniatures. I will say that they've got a lot of the museum is corded off, so there is no entrance past certain points at the National Gallery. So this will be interesting. I know this place like the back of my hand, and it'll be interesting to see what I don't get to see. I have a map and it's going to show me a lot of what their current exhibits are. So we'll see what we can find out. And here you see mostly sculpture by Rodin. Just an interesting piece. This is actually one of my favorite pieces. The Kiss. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Just again, a very quiet museum. Hardly any people here. You know, social distancing seems to be working. Most people are familiar with The Thinker by Rodin. I've seen it in several sizes. Beautiful. But what everybody's wanting to go see. You're good, dude. You're good. You can stay. Stay. You're fine. Degas at the opera. Let's go take a look. Look at that. Just look at that. Just feel. Texture and how much impasto paint is on that highlight. Pretty thick paint right there. The color is a lot more intense in person than it is in this video. And this. very famous piece. It's neat getting a closer look, you know? Dance instructor in the center. Dancers. Gorgeous. Another piece I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. The store. Even the frame is gorgeous. This piece called the Theater Box offers a really interesting perspective, and Degas was pretty cool at getting a lot of different perspectives in his work. So this would be like what you would see, I guess, if you were in that theater box. Okay, this is called the Ballet Rehearsal on Stage by Degas. Interesting, when you look at this piece, you can see where, this is one of those things you would miss if you're not in a museum. You can see where the artist changed, you know, where he had moved a leg up and he moved a leg in, and so you can see the ghost, if you will, of this leg right here. That shouldn't be there. They changed it. It's in a reflection because then it would be attached, see? So it's neat to see this because as an artist, we all tweak our pieces up a little bit, right? And it's nice to see that masters did the same thing. Interesting. This is a sketch that he did of two seated women, is what this is called. But if you look at the next painting, the woman in red is repeated. The woman in the black is not there. The woman in the red is right there. So it's good to see how artists, other artists, conceptualize and get their work down. How they figure out what goes where. The composition is lovely in this piece. Your eye can't help but go up into the upper right-hand corner. The gift shop. This one's actually open. Most of them are closed. So I'm gonna go ahead and check out some books because it's great when you can find deals on good art books. So many books, so little time. I'll tell you though, the actual concentration of books is not as great as it usually is. I'll tell you what artists do. Artists go to museums and look at books. Right there. I am still learning. Something I have said to my students that Michelangelo said, because we're all just learning. So I sit down to sketch, right? Got my little handy dandy pencil. Guess what? It has no lead. So I will be making a trip to the Blick Art Store. Okay, I'm sure I can get in a lot of trouble in a place like this. Let's go ahead and buy just some graphite for my pencil, but I'm sure I'll come out with more stuff than I need. Me in an art store is like a kid in a candy shop. Okay, so here I am in Dick Blick, and I'm having too much fun. And obviously I have purchased more than I probably should. Because I'll have to schlep it around with me all day today, which is going to be like, okay. But I picked up a new wave palette, which should be pretty neat, and a bunch of paint and some different mediums, and yeah, it's going to be fun. I enjoy that. So yeah, other than the fact that I have to haul this stuff around, I also picked up some drawing paper for a lady I met yesterday that had all kinds of pencils and things, but nothing to draw on. So if I see her in her spot, I'll make sure I drop that off for her. So anyway, fun times, fun times. Okay, today we're going to go into the National Museum of Women's Art and check it out and hopefully get to talk to somebody in there. Perhaps about an exhibit at some point. We'll see. Okay, now forgive me for the reflection that's in the piece, but I'm always amazed by the Dutch painters' faces. This piece was done by Judith Meister, 1609. Of course, any of the works that we're going to see here at the Women's Museum of Art are by women. Women are oftentimes overlooked artists, and there really was a lot of women artists. Oftentimes they painted under pseudonyms, and I am getting so much reflection, so I apologize. This is really quite a lovely museum. I have to admit, this is my first time in here. This piece especially captured my attention. I just think it's gorgeous. The warmth in the skin and the glare. Yeah. Gotta get that information there. Cecilia Bow. Lovely work. This was a really cool experience. This is my first time in the National Museum of Women's Art, or women in art, and it was actually quite a surprise. I learned a lot. It's quite moving. It's amazing how little women's art is in a lot of the other bigger museums, but this museum was just full only of women's art. So who knows, maybe one day I'll get to be here. But this was really a wonderful experience, and yeah, definitely check out this museum. If you're in DC, you can't miss it. It has the work of Louise Nevelson, Frida Kahlo, oh goodness, so many amazing women artists, and it dates back into the 1500s. Yeah, you need to check this place out. Well, it's been a great day here in DC. It's probably my favorite town. I could say honestly that it was a little different. A lot of the floors and areas at the museums were closed to the public. They're trying to keep the numbers down, so I felt like I had the museum to myself, which was nice, but at the same time I kind of like being around the other people at the museum. Saw some neat stuff, some art that I hadn't seen before. The Degas exhibit was new. It was in, it's a visiting exhibit. But, I got to see a lot of my old favorites. And, of course, Washington, D.C. has so much to offer. And I went on my first scooter ride. That was fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great town. And museum tours during the time of COVID are different, but still quite enjoyable. So, be sure to check out DC even now, or any museum in your area, and, go see them now. Now's a good time to actually go see them, because you're going to have a lot of space between you and the art, so you can get up close and really look at it and appreciate it for what it is. So, yeah. Thanks for joining me today. And if you are my subscribers, thanks again. If you're not, consider subscribing. And by all means, support your local art museums. And yeah, this is Sue signing off from Washington, D.C. Until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.